Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Malifaux and the return of the puppets. Collodi's been feeling a bit left out lately, and so I've taken him out for a spin. For terrain, we've got these buildings, which are, as always, height 5 or 6 or lots. Impassable, hard cover, blocking, forests. These walls are height 1, soft cover, climbable. Middle tower is something like height 4, blocking, hard cover. Height 2, climbable, hazardous, and this middle section you can walk through as normal, but the pillars are all hard cover blocking. Height various. We're playing Guard the Stash, and these are the markers. I think I won deployment and decided to set up first because I don't want to get stuck behind this building. My crew relies a lot on auras and shooting, and so it's nice to be able to deploy everyone together and have a bit of, and have a lot of shooting lanes to utilise. Was going to be bringing out my Black Blood crew, but as my opponent declared Outcasts, and I have literally no idea what he's capable of fielding, I decided to play it safe and go with my props crew. I'm bringing a Marionette, the Frame for Murder target, another Marionette, Collodi, with bag of props and Strum the Threads, of course, Brutal Effigy, another Marionette, Widow Weaver, Lazarus, Doppelganger with 1,000 faces, which I forget all game, and hidden behind this tree is the Beckoner. Screw all you guys who say she's rubbish. She is the bee's knees, as we say in the hood, and you guys are just jealous. And Salt has brought a nurse, a guilty, Ashes and Dust, that guy's going to be a problem. Jackdaw, with Oathkeeper and Twist and Turn. Jaakuna Ubume, with the Creeping Terror. Johan and a Drowned. It's been a long time since I faced Jackdaw, but I remember how killy he is, particularly against minions. And I do take Frame for Murder a lot, so I am considering Breakthrough. Collodi can normally do it pretty easily, but if I'm going to do that, it means I have to play a little bit more cautiously, and I'm taking Collodi out for a blast this game, and I want him to get stuck in. So I decided to go with Frame for Murder and put it on the Marionette with the dress, because that way I can remember which one it is. And I'm fairly confident I can bait Jackdaw into whatever the trick he does, where he can kill a minion, unless it discards cards. So basically, I'm going to run this Marionette over here, and this is going to be the lone thing holding this marker, tempting Jack into killing her, distracting his resources from taking on the main body of my crew. And Collodi has AP aplenty to send something else to go and claim me this and make sure I don't drop points on the scheme. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. Subtle as brick, as always. And for the second scheme, we're all going to be congregating around these markers because that's the nature of the mission. And Collodi's got a great AP resource control, so marking for death generally isn't a problem. It's something he can do very well. And I'm pretty confident I can get full points for that, especially as at this point I've forgotten once more, I've done this exact thing before. Last time I faced Ashes and Dust, I thought I could mark it for death and then every time it dies I'll be scoring points. It's immune to conditions. Why is that so hard to remember? Other than that, I'm going to try to play my crew to its strengths, and its strengths are pretty simple. It is a lure machine. And we're going to pick out models every turn, lure them into the killing field, and just fucking brutalise them with ordnance and magic missiles. Let's see how it goes. Here we go, turn 1. We start things off by moving the marionettes. This marionette moves up and pushes the Beckoner out of the woods. Frickin' love Dragalon so much. My Frame for Murder marionette goes fast, takes 2 damage, and then gets all the way up over to this marker here. Salt has also got quite a strong lure game, and it would be very nice if he were to send Jaakuna out to try to snag one of these guys, or come forward aggressively with something, because that would save me some of the work. But my opponent's a canny foe, and he's moving up cautiously. The Ashes and Dust has come out to one of the flanks. I think he's been given Tormented by the Guilty, maybe, and so this positioning makes me think that he's going for Claim Jump or something, which will be tricky for me to stop, but it takes a big chunky model out of the middle of the fight, and I can get a Marionette or 2 up here to try to block that. Johan also gets tormented by something, can't remember what, and the Drowned has just moved up to here, nice and central. And despite considering myself a bit of a resurrectionist nowadays, I spend most of this game thinking that it just prevents 2 damage on every attack rather than just close combat attacks. So at this point I'm not thinking it's worth luring it out and doing it in, but potentially that could have been a better idea. So as things progress, I'm just shifting things around with the marionettes. Got Lazarus a bit further forward. Brutal Effigy shot Collodi twice, missed twice and pushed him 6 inches up over here. Freaking love that combo. Widow Weaver's moved up conservatively, dropped that marker, web marker at maximum range and gone defensive, so Collodi can make use of that if he needs it. And I think this is one of the nice strengths of this crew, is that, so I've done 5 activations, I think, and still not engaged any of my luring and striking components. And I think in total this crew can do 10 lures a turn distributed over 4 activations. The chances of killing something in the first turn is pretty high. So we let the games begin. The Beckoner hops the wall and lures the nurse, who's been hiding in the forest. I did debate between the nurse and the guilty. She could be useful to me later on in the game, but she's also quite a threat, and so I feel that she's probably got to go down this turn. So I've lured her forward to here, and the plan is to go with Collodi next and soften her up. I don't want to kill her, because in case he's got frame for murder on her, but I'm fishing for a my bidding trigger, which will allow me to try to paralyse either the drowned or the what's his name, the guilty. I think Jaakuna goes and moves over here and drags the nurse back to safety, but we're not having that. Collodi goes, lures her back over here, and then finishes her with a red joker damage in a single shot. Thankfully she's not framed for murder, and so I lure out the guilty. Why not, eh? Lazarus and Doppelganger go. Lazarus assimilates Collodi to use my will again on the Beckoner to then bring the guilty a bit closer into shooting range, but unfortunately we don't kill it. I think it's got like 3 damage left. That was a little bit disappointing. And at the end of the turn we end things like so. There was some kind of push ability that the Outcasts used. I'm afraid I can't remember what it was, to push things up a little bit further, but unfortunately Johann's movement was hampered a lot by this terrain, so he ended up just plodding over here. And Jackdaw is also hanging back quite far. I think my opponent was unhappy that his crew wasn't quite within the correct auras, but I can't tell you which ones they were because I really don't know what Jackdaw does that well. Turn 2. So I Soulstone, and that's my hand. Not going to be able to go as aggressive as I wanted to this turn. Needless to say, I ditched some of those wands. Outcasts get the initiative, and the guilty wastes no time in getting over here to just try to stay away from this death machine that's building up over here. I try to lure him back with the Beckoner, but as you saw, my hand is literally balls, and I fail. The drown gets out over here, and I charge it with the marionette. I figure just to start putting some damage on it at least, and manage to do I think 1. Jaakuna lures out my Beckoner. Not much I can do about that. And Ashes and Dust wastes no time charging in, killing her, and summoning Abomination. So on one hand it sucks to lose the Beckoner, but she did her job. My opponent's down a model and has been forced to commit or extend quite far. It's a shame that that extension involves Ashes and Dust. I really struggle to have an answer for him. He's got great stats and is immune to conditions, so it really will take a lot of energy for me to bring him down. And when I do, he's coming back. So my best bet, I think, is to contain him, which is easier said than done against a 12 or 13 Soulstone monster. But on the other hand, as I say, I've managed to get my opponent to commit, and I freaking love seeing that Abomination. To me, that is 3 points. So obviously I proceed to be a dickhead. I go with the Marionette, go fast, use my Zero to drag Collodi along out of the way over here, thinking, just get around. Walk up between the two of them with Widow Weaver's helpful movement boost, and then Mark for Death, completely forgetting that this guy is immune to Mark for Death. Such tool, such tool. So in the end, I just mark the Abomination for Death and hit it for a little bit of damage. A better player might have just marked it for death, made sure not to engage Ashes, and then between Widow Weaver, Collodi and Lazarus, I reckon I've got a decent damage of knocking Ashes and Dust out, which would leave an Ashen Core, which the Doppelganger can more than happily acquire Ret's Eye and take out in a single activation. But that's not what I did, and I guess my cards were shit, so it probably wouldn't have worked anyway. Marionette dies somehow, I think to the Abomination, probably fails its warp jewel or something, and that was my personal puppet, so we retract onto this one. Oh shit, which I shouldn't have been able to do because that wall, they shouldn't be able to see off of that wall. Never mind, it didn't really matter. Death of the Marionette is great because it means I can open up, and I do, I think, with Lazarus, killing the Abominations, scoring mark for death, and blasting on to Ashes and Dust, which is quite heavy. And he decides to drop a scrap, which I'm also really happy about. Tasty, tasty scrap. But then, holy shit, Jackdaw comes from nowhere. He must have used Oathkeeper to get this. Yeah, so he got a line of sight on Collodi and charged him. He misses the first strike, and I run away home. I normally make sure to tell my opponents about that defensive trigger, but I can't actually remember if I told my opponent this game. I feel a bit bad if I didn't. I'll normally let someone make that charge once, and then remind them about the trigger all the other times, but that's because I'm a bit of a douchebag. Doppelganger gets up and fails to kill the guilty. I get the Widow Weaver up, put down another web marker within range of Jackdaw, and focus. Brutal Effigy goes and puts Finot's sword on Collodi, and to be honest I can't remember what else he did. He might have taken pot shots at Ashes and Dust, he might have focused, I don't know. Something to note is this Marionette, I've been holding him back. Basically I want him in reserve in case I need to go and, in case this one dies and I need to go and shore up my defences over by this stash marker, but I also got him in mind to get round here and into that stash marker, should I need to. Johann's coming up, just plodding up slowly, and now it's Collodi's turn. And at this point I realised I forgot to use Lazarus's Assimilate during his activation, which is really quite a pain, because, well, you'll see. So Collodi goes fast. I get my numbers back up by using my 13 of masks to summon an Arcane Effigy. Could have used that card to shoot down and kill the guilty, but I was sticking to the plan, saving it for my effigy. If I'd used Lazarus Assimilate to do this, then the effigy could have gone and given Collodi his extra burning trick, but as it is, I won't benefit from it. But now guys, this is awesome. Pay attention. I've only got a couple of crappy cards left, but my opponent has drained his hand, and Collodi's Devious Mind is worrying, so I decide to risk it. I spend a stone for a crow, attack Ashes and Dust, who's at -2 willpower, connect, flip severe damage because Collodi is a hateful puppet, and use my bidding to walk him away from the stash marker. Johann's now in my sights. I spend a stone for a crow, attack him, and this one's a bit more risky, but I get it, and again, severe damage. And with my bidding, walk him back away from the stash marker. Booyah! I use my final AP to walk around Ashes and Dust and use Creep as the 0 action to push out engagement. And then I just get the Marionette and the Arcane Effigy up around here. Bit of a mistake with the Arcane's placement there, shouldn't have engaged Ashes. But I guess I was thinking that he's not in Widow Weaver's engagement range, so he could just move over and charge any of these guys as he liked. So I think I was just trying to pin him down. But that's how we end turn 2. I score Guard the Stash. I've got a Dark marked for death, and I don't think the Outcasts have got anything. Turn 3, that's a better hand, I can do work with this. I'm trying to think what happened here. I think I must have got the initiative and went with the Widow Weaver. I drop a web marker, which in retrospect was a huge mistake. Focus, and then seize prey on Jackdaw. I've got a 13, so it's impossible for him to stop, and so he is paralysed, and I place myself over here, and he's got 5 poison. Frickin' love the Widow Weaver, but yeah, I shouldn't have dropped that third marker first. It's low enough odds that he's got the red joker in hand or will flip it, and 2 markers is enough for me to get him on any other result. And if I have a second marker out and around, that means I can paralyse him next turn as well with, a decent chance. So yeah, super happy that Jack's paralysed, but super not happy at quite how I did that. Ashes goes, marks for death the Arcane Effigy, but black jokers and fails to kill it. But Johann charges in and finishes it off, and I'm trying to think what the fuck I'm doing with Lazarus here. He couldn't have charged, so that means he's double walked up. Alright, okay, that's it. So I've marked Johann for death with my Marionette, and so they're engaged. I don't want to kill Ashes and Dust, and can't be sure I'll get a blast on to kill Johann. So what I've done is decided to get Lazarus up the field, in range of Collodi to assimilate him, to summon the Shadow Effigy. And this is all part of my cunning plan to kill models without using Collodi to do it. Over here the Drown finishes off the Marionette, and I score Frame for Murder, only 2 points, but take what you get. The doppelganger mimics Lazarus and charges the guilty, bringing it down and keeping me scoring for the guard to stash. The brutal effigy's run up around here is giving Collodi fear not the sword, and Collodi goes fast, uses my will on the shadow effigy to take the last wound off Johann after I've softened him up a bit with pull the strings. Turns out he wasn't framed for murder, but I couldn't risk it. And oh my goodness, I've missed Collodi's just this insane flexibility. Finally, I attack Jackdaw, because why not? Focus, and I think do severe damage, because Collodi's just fucking full of hate this game. So we end this turn, I score guard the stash. I've managed to prevent my opponent once more, but he's scored 2 points for Mark for Death. I think this marionette was marked for death in my arcane. And I think I got one for the guilty, because the marionette had run around and marked it before it died. Well done, Dress Marionette. Turn 4, always happy to see Red Joker. I lose the initiative, and Jackdaw brings the smackdown to the Widow Weaver. Oh my goodness. Firing Squad Injustice, drowning Injustice, and then just good old fashioned punch you in the face. Takes her down. I think I've used all my soul stones by this point. It's a shame. I love my Weaver, but I'd factored in her loss and was prepared for it. Not having that web marker down pretty much killed a big part of her utility. So as long as Jack isn't messing around with my VP, it's an acceptable loss. In retrospect, I should have remembered that Doppelganger had ill omens. It's been a while, I haven't played Neverborn in a while, I'm a retard. But if I had remembered that, and if I had managed to keep a web marker around, I might have been tempted to cheat in, go first, and paralyse Jack another turn. But as it is, hey, I've got those cards to do other things. So, Ashes and Dust tries to take down the Shadow Effigy, but he'd gone defensive and so survived and gets away. Marionette went fast and jogged around to the corner, to this stash marker. He dragged along Lazarus out of combat with Ashes and Dust, so Lazarus could charge the drowned. And yeah, combat's not where you want to be with this thing, so yeah, I'm just plinking it and not bringing it down. Doppelganger gives it a go as well and fails. I think I'm forced to cheat my 13 to stop the effigy being pulled into hazardous terrain by Jaakuna. He's got 1 wound left, he's marked for death. If he dies, I'll give it up, so I cheat that in to prevent it. And then Collodi, lovable puppet, goes. He creeps into the woods within 10 inches of Jaakuna. He hits her, and I'm thinking to just put in the Red Joker, kill her off. Collodi loves incorporeal low wound models. But then I hit her with the My Bidding trigger, and just evil thoughts go flashing through my mind. So I only do severe damage on the flip. I mean, Jesus Christ, I was so lucky with the damage flips of the Collodi this game. He's really trying to earn my love. So yeah, severe damage Jaakuna, and then use My Bidding to lure the drowned off the marker, off the stash marker, cheating in the Red Joker to ensure it. Just spectacular. So I thank Jaakuna for her services and put her in the ground, and then I think fire a pot shot off at the drowned, who's now in range, but failed to get through to him. Which is a shame, because I didn't realise that would have actually killed him, as he's on 2 damage, and his defences don't mean squat to Collodi. So I get guard the stash, and although I've marked the drowned for death, obviously I didn't bring him down. But I'm pretty confident I'll get him next turn. We go to the 5th turn, and again my hand is just a little bit lackluster. I lose the initiative. Ash and Dust brings down my Shadow Effigy, turning him into an abomination, which I'm not that sad about, and then runs back around here to just go stand next to Collodi. I'm starting to get suspicious about what my opponent's unrevealed scheme is, and so Lazarus focuses and takes a shot at Jackdaw, hoping for the severe. It was pretty unlikely, and to be honest, I can't remember if I hit or not. I probably missed. Jackdaw sees he's been rumbled and uses his 0 action to get Ash and Dust to attack Collodi, who then pushes away over here. He then attacks and kills Ashes and Dust. Great plans. So he's got the Jasmine Core over here holding this marker. He's got the Dust Storm coming in for the other one, and then sprints home for the touchdown. And I believe he's been soulstoning the poison away, so he's still over half wounds. Damn it! Over here was a fucking fiasco, guys. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with the marionette, but it's just run over here. I think it might be marked for death, and I think I, for some reason, thought that he could score another point off it. He's already scored all his points, so that was absolutely, totally pointless. Doppelganger gets over here, and I almost charge in again, forgetting about the frickin' defensive prevention thing he's got. But in the end, I get over here, mimic Lazarus, shoot the drowned, and frickin' fail to kill it with the Black Joker. Oh, that was so frustrating. But as you can see, I did have a backup plan. The Brutal Effigies just run around over here to stand next to the Abomination. The Abomination and the Ashen Core give it a really good go at bringing Collodi and the Effigy down. Lots of Warp Jewels to take. It's surprising how much damage those Abominations can potentially do, but yeah, we take it and stay standing. So yeah, I could probably get Collodi over here and kill the drowned. The way the activations work out, I won't be able to also kill the Dust Storm, who will wait it out and come in and take this marker back afterwards. So in the end, I just will the Brutal Effigy to give the Abomination the mark for death. Interesting fact, he doesn't have an engagement range, nor does Collodi for that matter. So, for instance, they would not be able to mark each other for death. But since I count as being engaged with the Abomination's engagement range, I can deliver that mark. So yeah, zap the Abomination without any trouble, score for mark for death, and the Dust Storm obviously comes up and stands around over here. Game is over, guys, and that was brilliant fun. Final scores: the Outcasts scored 1 point for Guard the Stash, 3 points for Breakthrough Undercover Entourage, and 3 points for Mark for Death. The Neverborn scored 4 points for Guard the Stash, 2 points for Frame for Murder, and 3 points for Mark for Death, making this game 9-7 to Collodi and his friendly friends. What a blast, that was great fun. And yeah, surprisingly close. I thought I had that nailed down, but my opponent, got those schemes locked in. And Salt was a really great guy, actually. Really lovely. Play him if you get the chance. So yeah, I think I got a little bit lucky in this game. His crew really does present some problems for me. Ashen Dust ignores conditions, is so hard to, he can really dish out the punishment to my little puppets. Perhaps I was a little bit too scared of killing him and splitting him up than I needed to be. The Dust Storm isn't actually that tough for me to take down, and if I ever remember to use 1,000 Faces on Doppelganger, then she could also take down the Ashen Core fairly handily. But Johan can also remove conditions, he's good against constructs. Jaakuna and Jack have a ton of lures, I really like that combo. But I think it certainly was a big factor in this first turn, in that my crew just outlures his. And pulling apart those juicy targets was pretty big in helping me get control of the game right from the get-go. It was pretty hard to hang on to it, I've got to say that. But if you can get this kind of setup in the first turn, it really helps the rest of the game fall into place. Couple of big mistakes for me, forgetting Lazarus is assimilate a couple of times. I really didn't play very carefully with my personal puppet, and that can really hurt Collodi if you're not careful. Really bummed at messing up the Widow Weaver's web markers. Not so much that she died, but yeah, it would have been much better if I actually knew her rules. I thought she needed 3 web markers to do the Seize Prey. She only needs 2. In the end, I guess it wasn't such a bad thing. Yes, I would have paralysed Jack. Perhaps I could have done some damage to him, but in the end, I'm pretty sure he would have got to my deployment zone. And hanging on to the Red Joker allowed me to do this lovely piece of work. So happy for Jaakuna's assistance here. Collodi is just a dream, and let's go back to this one. Big risk spending 2 soul stones on this, not having the cards to see it through, but it worked out. Oh my goodness, I love Collodi. It is all about my bidding, guys. It really makes him the Puppet Master, and oh my goodness, it can be horrendous. My opponent asked if I thought he made any mistakes, and to be honest, I thought he played a really good game. My crew just has some really nasty abilities that are pretty hard to stop, but I will say from looking back through these videos that the Abominations just give me points. And especially if you can choose to not leave scrap lying around, don't do it. Collodi summons are expensive, and in terms of models they're not that good, but in terms of what they actually do for him, it's a really big part of his game to just be able to just keep bringing in useful little puppets and being able to put them in awkward places. So yeah, those are my thoughts. But yeah, great game. Collodi was on fire, he was definitely out to earn my love, and man did he do a good case. So yeah, this is not the last of the lovable puppet that you will see for sure. Hope you enjoyed that. Take care.